Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Eerie International, episode 502 this week. My name is David from the United States.
And I'm Dave from the UK.
And we skipped Andy because fuck Andy, right? Get everybody against him. No, Andy's not here this week. Not fuck Andy, unless it's in a loving, consensual way. We love Andy. He is out this week, though. So Dave and I, unfortunately, are talking about an Underworld movie again. Fortunately, though, we're done. We're out of Underworld movies.
It's the last one. Yeah.
So this will be it for this series. If you want to follow along on this loose, interconnected series, just check out anytime Andy hasn't been on the show for the past 5 times that's occurred, and you will find our loose Underworld trek. Starting from Underworld to today's film, Underworld Blood Wars. If this is your first time listening, welcome. We normally are a trio, as you've probably gleaned from that little preamble. Andy is in Germany, Dave's in the UK, I am in America. I'll actually be a little bit more specific about where I am in America because it's a fucking just post-apocalyptic wasteland right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this, but I thought let's do it live on air so everyone can hear.
Yeah. So I guess let's get the rest of the stuff out of the way, and then I'll dive into that. If this is your first time, welcome. We're a horror podcast, blah, 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 blah. Find us social media. Instagram is probably the main and best place, Eerie International. If you want to send us some longer form thoughts, feel free to do so over eerieinternational@gmail.com. And that's basically it. Yeah. So I live in Indiana.
Please do not dive in because that would be bad.
To the floods?
To the floods, yeah. I
Yes.
feel like that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, dude. So, and I won't be hyper specific about where I live, but I am in Indiana, and Indiana currently, I don't know if it's lifted as of the recording. We're recording this Sunday, August 16th. At least as of yesterday, this was still the case. The entire state is under a state of emergency. And then there are pockets of Indiana for sure that got hit worse than others. So it's constant rain. It's been raining here since, today's been the first day it hasn't rained since, man, I haven't been keeping track, but Monday or Tuesday probably. It's been like a week. And it was getting really bad starting kind of Tuesday-ish, at least around here, going into Wednesday. Wednesday was my son's first day of school, back to school. Summer break's over. So he goes to school. I pick him up on Wednesday. And when we're driving back home, starting to see like roads are shut off because of flooding. So there's just like suddenly a road is kind of half submerged or whatever. And not in a way where it's like, we probably shouldn't let people drive. Like you can't drive a car through it. It's flooded. And then school's canceled the next day. And then school's canceled the day after that. So he's had one day of school back at after summer break, and then the rest of the week has been canceled because the town where his school is located, they needed the school buses because they were evacuating people out of the city. There's a big problem. I mean, I don't even know what kind of expert I would need to be here, but unless it's about fucking comic book lettering, I'm not going to be your guy. But just from logical observations I've made, it seems like a big problem, I'm sure, as with any case with flooding, is existing bodies of water. So rivers and creeks and lakes and shit like that. Yeah. And that's been the case for sure around in these towns where I live. So in my town as well. My town was on the national news. I sent Andy and Dave a clip yesterday where we made the news because it looks like I've made comparisons to Katrina because I remember going down there post hurricane in high school and like helping our youth group went down there for a week and we helped like gut out houses and stuff. It's obviously not as bad as that. But there's been some imagery coming out of like my town and some of the other towns around where it's people in boats and houses are almost completely submerged underwater. So all the way up to the roof, and cars completely underwater. I sent you guys a video from Friday morning when I went out to get breakfast with my kid, and we were driving back through, and there's like a mall in the area, and it looks like The Last of Us. Just water is all the way up, waist level into all of these stores. So tons of houses that are just completely permanently ruined now. The water has receded and I think in a lot of places, but definitely in my town. So Friday night, if the water levels would have reached 25 feet, then they would have had to shut off the power for the entire town because it would have risen high enough to get to wherever the power station, whatever shit is. So the water levels got to, I think it was 24.83 feet. So it was like less than a quarter of an inch away, which I know this is an international podcast. It's a very small amount, very, very close. And yeah, so it came very close to losing power to the whole city. The water levels then receded enough overnight that when we got more rain yesterday, it still stayed underneath. So there were still definitely places that have been losing power, losing, all resources and stuff. And then, dude, last thing I'll say, I'm talking about this a lot, but weather is what we usually talk about at the beginning of these shows anyway.
Oh yeah, I've got something I can tell you about afterwards as well.
Austin, our friend Austin, who has been on the podcast before, he and I typically, if we're going anywhere, if there's a way we can fit in a bookstore on the way to or from that place, we will. So we were coming back to my house and over in closer to Indianapolis, and there's a big Barnes and Noble over by the Fashion Mall. I'll identify this place. I'll dox them since I don't live there. There's a big fashion mall, Keystone Mall, that has a Barnes and Noble and all this. It's like high end, like shopping and stuff. And when we got there, when we pulled into where we normally pull into, the road was flooded. We were like, oh shit. So something, but maybe just more of the flooding we've been seeing all week. So we go into Barnes and Noble. We're in there for probably 25 minutes. We come back out. That's the video I sent you guys. The water level had risen just in that 25 minutes to the point where it was like, half a block up the street further than it had been. And you could see in the video, there's a street sign that's just kind of like wobbling because the water is moving so fast around it. And so normally we would be leaving in that road. I was talking to my dad about it today, and I was like, had we gotten to that Barnes & Noble 30 minutes to an hour earlier, we would have been leaving and driving on that road that flooded. So it could have been a lot worse, because once I got home, I was looking up different clips and just Googling different areas, and that road that had been flooded, the name of it is River Road. The entire road just collapsed, just cracked. Like the road's just gone. Man. And there's kind of I'm assuming it's a man-made lake. There's a subdivision back behind that area, and the only reason I know the name of it, you'll know why here in a second, is because it's called Crystal Lake. That's the name of the the subdivision, like addition or whatever. So anytime I drive through there, I'm like, oh yeah, Crystal Lake, like. And so I'm assuming that flooded too, or was already there, and obviously didn't help. But yeah, like the road's just gone. I mean, there's been sinkholes. It's crazy. FEMA also is like gutted and gone, so there's no really relief from what I understand. At least in the area I'm at, it hasn't flooded like this in Indiana in over 100 years. It was like 1913 or something, the last time it's been this bad, and it was a foot less rain than it was this time around. So yeah, man, it's been a crazy week. Fortunately, I should have led with this. I'm okay. My kid's okay. Like, my sister's had been dealing with some flooding in her basement already. This definitely exacerbated all of it. She was in an area that fortunately didn't get completely hit bad. But stuff like that, we've been having to deal with. But beyond that, had I lived just like a mile or two down the road, it would have been a lot worse, because I'm close to the river, but not, right up against it where it flooded. So anyway, Jesus. Yeah, fortunately there's been like 5 deaths across the entire state. I don't say fortunately, 5 deaths, that still sucks, but it hasn't been like it's been obviously a disaster, but not one that's like claimed a ton of lives or is hurting a bunch of people, but it's fucking up a lot. And I would imagine is going to have like pretty lasting effects, especially around here. And these towns, like they're already so many of these Indiana towns. I live in one of them. So many of them are very similar, which is, they were at once at some point fairly, I don't want to say prosperous. I don't know what word you would use specifically, but they were doing well because their economy usually revolved around some sort of factory or a mall or something like that. And over time, all of these little Indiana towns, the factory's gone under. And then that kind of economy just collapsed. So they're poor towns, and then there's all these little they'll have like a million liquor stores, a million smoke shops, gas station. Like there'll be things that come up, but yeah, they're already struggling. So for it to already be the place that it is, and then get hit like this, like these aren't people that can just immediately be like, oh well, just renovate the house now, and also depending on insurance and all that stuff, a lot of them don't cover certain things like this depending on how it happens and everything. So anyway,
that's always struck me as really shitty on the insurance company's part.
Yep,
like these whole kind of act of God get out clauses, which by the way is a plot point in one of my favorite comedy movies, The Man Who Sued God, starring Billy Connolly.
Nice.
Yeah. Because his insurance decides they're not going to pay out because the thing that he was claiming on was covered by act of God. So he decided he was going to sue God for damages. So yeah, it's a fun film. People should check it out. It's not horror though, but that's what we're here to talk about today. The weather is just fucking appalling everywhere over the world. Basically, we're either seeing mass floods or we're seeing complete drought, and that's currently what the UK is dealing with. Over 70% of the country is in drought. And we actually had a bit of a dystopian moment a couple of days ago when the government about a year or so ago introduced a national alert system, which basically allowed them to send emergency messages to all mobile phones in the UK. And it's accompanied by this really piercing, shrill tone, right, to get everyone's attention.
We've got this here too.
Yeah.
So like on Wednesday and Thursday, I was getting 2 to 4 of those a day for flood warnings. Yeah,
I bet. The thing is, in the UK, the only real use for that was there's a nuclear missile on the way, so kiss your ass and say goodbye. So everybody collectively shit themselves on that day because we all got alerts, and it was like, well, literally the only time this has ever been used, we were warned about because it was the test to make sure it was working. So this is the first active use of it. And the use of it, although I absolutely agree with the fact that they used it because they basically wanted to get the message out that Britain is a massive tinderbox right now, and we shouldn't be doing anything that could cause a fire. So they've temporarily banned little barbecue. You know those barbecues you can buy in like stores that are literally like an aluminium tray, shrink wrapped, and you can just open it up and it's a use once and throw away barbecue. Yeah. So the only people that we ever seem to see using those in the UK are people that shouldn't be using a barbecue. They don't know how they work. They don't know how to properly dispose of them afterwards. From my limited personal experience of seeing people use them in public, it's literally a case of, well, my food's cooked, so I'm just going to leave this thing fucking running. They don't put them out or anything like that. So basically, like, those have been temporarily banned. People have been asked not to let off fireworks, not do anything that could potentially cause a fire, because we are having one of the most record-breaking summers in British history. The most number of 30-degree days in a year since 1995. And I don't know when records began, but I don't think they are exhaustative. I don't think we take records going back over 100 years. So this is quite possibly like the hottest summer that we've had on record of all time. And it probably actually kicks 1976's ass. I think it was 76. I wasn't born then, so I don't know for sure. It was either 76 or 79. It's the one summer that British people of an age that remember it always talk about and say about how, oh yeah, it was the hottest summer that there ever was. All the riverbeds dried up. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse rode freely on the streets. We drank from hose pipes and it didn't do us any harm. That kind of boomer shit. But yeah, it's incredible that we've got, like, we could trade some of our hot weather for some of your rain, and then we'd both be fine.
It's crazy
it sucks, man.
The difference. Even I was texting with one of my friends who was just a couple, 1 or 2 states, I forget where we border Kentucky. I think we do border it, but she was in Kentucky and was at a concert and was like, it's over 100 degrees here. It's so hot. Like, it's awful. Like, everybody's just sweating, miserable. And I'm texting her back in the middle of a raging storm where I'm
Yeah.
like hoping that my house doesn't lose power. It was just such a weird dichotomy of shit going down.
It's mad. It's mad.
I'm
sorry that's happening to you and the people of Indiana, and I hope that you all remain safe. And my
Thanks,
best wishes go out to everyone.
Hopefully it's that area that I sent you guys the video of that Daniel and I drove near that was flooded. I was down there yesterday and accidentally maybe trespassed a little because I didn't go into the entrance to that parking lot. I went further down because I knew the parking lots were connected. So I just turned in early and ended up, I could see that the water was gone. So that water had receded. And I drove down through there and was just kind of looking kind of into the wind. I didn't stop or get out or anything. I was just kind of slowly driving through. There was no one else down there and was kind of looking at the damage in the windows. And there's a tabletop gaming shop down there that I've been in a few times with Daniel and have bought stuff at. There's a pizza place Daniel and I've gone to. Like there's, all that stuff I would imagine is all those places are at least, moderately damaged, if not severely or permanently. I mean, it's rough. And then when I was leaving that parking lot, I saw all this police tape and those big wooden traffic blocker things, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be in here. They had the main entrances were blocked off, so I left right away. But anyway, so the water has receded some already, and then it hasn't rained today, and then I actually haven't looked at the weather. Apparently it's going to rain some tomorrow, and then it looks like that's it for the rest of the week, hopefully. So it's gonna. Yeah, Daniel's scheduled to go back to school tomorrow. They just sent out an announcement a little bit earlier today saying, currently scheduled as, as normal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll see. So been a weird weekend. I did get into some horror related things. I believe you maybe did as well, Dave.
Yeah. I've got
I already forgot what we said. Okay. I've got a few things. So hit me with your one thing, and then I'll adjust accordingly.
That sounded much filthier than you meant it.
Maybe I meant it that way, Dave. Go ahead.
Maybe you did. Maybe we'll just right across the chops. I on the back of having watched a few Curry Barker shorts, I've suddenly had my YouTube algorithm offering me other things from the That's a Bad Idea channel, and I watched one short in particular called Living with a Ghost. Link in the description of the episode so everyone else can watch it, and I'll send the link in our chat so that you can see it down the line as well. It's basically a comedy short. The concept is that Curry's character is being haunted by an inconsiderate ghost who isn't scary so much as just a bad roommate. There's a few jokes that have to do with that, and then it ends on a really funny note, which I don't want to spoil for everybody. But the concept of it was really fun, and it retained an awful lot of the stuff that we saw and experienced in the shorts that we talked about last week. So yeah, I guess I'm watching a lot of Curry Barker shorts now.
And speaking, I know you haven't seen Obsession yet, but unless you're about to say that.
No, unfortunately, not had the chance.
The lead of Obsession was just cast as Rogue in the X-Men movie. They did X-Men. Yeah, so pretty cool. It depends on who you are. I bet Andy's not thrilled. Although I doubt Andy cares. He didn't necessarily love Obsession. But
honestly, just happy that a young actress is getting a chance in a huge thing off the back of being part of
That's kind of what I mean more
success.
than anything is just, like people, she really hit with that movie, and it was definitely a cultural kind of, I think it's similar with Sadie Sink being cast as
absolutely.
who she's cast as.
Yeah.
And they did a whole, did you see the lineup of it? I know this isn't.
So I saw all the kids come out on stage. I heard that they had literally only met for the first time backstage to that, and then obviously the big reveal of who's going to be playing Mr. Sinister. I think he's Mr. Sinister, right? Because they called him by his human name.
And I don't know enough about Mr. Sinister. I thought his name was Nathaniel Essex. But that might be it.
But
he called him a different last name, which
he did. I've seen him
maybe
referred
he starts
to
off that way.
I've seen people being referring to the character Mr. Sinister and talking about another name which I couldn't remember, which I think lined up with the one they announced him as. I'm in the same boat as you. Outside of occasional appearances in X-Men, the animated series, not X-Men '97, the reboot.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about him. I know that he was name checked in Logan. Because I think it was the Essex Corporation that was the kind of big bad behind the clone of Wolverine.
Yeah, he's always they've always kind of kept him in the. He was supposed to be, I think, eventually, if New Mutants would have done well, like the villain in the next one. Like he's always kind of in the peripheral in these movies. Yeah. To me, he's a '90s staple. You would see him in that design on the cartoon and the comics, with the fucking Death Note demon looking tendrils on his back, the same kind of
diamond
feather looking things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. Indy Navarrete, whatever her name is, was cast as Rogue. That's all I was meant to bring up.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think that's good for her. She's taken the ball and hopefully she's going to run with it. So
yeah.
The only other thing that I had on my docket, and it's not horror related, but I did want to give it a shout out because they're our friends and we like to see them do well. I was recently a guest on Let's Talk About Stuff with Stephen and Brent. And we were talking about The Wrath of Khan, the second in the series of original cast Star Trek movies, and I would argue the best. And I don't think that's a controversial argument. I think a lot of people agree with that one. But we literally spent like 2.5 hours just talking about the shit that I wanted to talk about, and then we did half an hour on Star Trek at the end. Because it had been like 3 years since I'd last talked to those dudes, so it was literally just like, okay, let's just fit as many dick jokes as we can into 3 hours and see where we go from there. Had a great time. I'm not entirely sure when the episode is going to be coming out because they have recorded a few other things and they need to sort the schedule out for exactly when it's coming out. But keep an eye on the Let's Talk About Stuff feed because it should be coming out at some point in the near future. And yeah, it was a great time, and I know that both you and Andy are hopefully going to be guesting on an episode, separate episodes. Down the line as well. So anyone that's can't get enough of listening to our dulcet tones, check out LTAS if you haven't already, because you're about to hear a little bit more of them.
And I won't say what my episode is yet, since we haven't recorded it, and just in case anything changes or how the stuff goes. But I will say, if it goes as planned as what we have talking about, it would be kind of a great it would be basically, I mean, these are all crossover Eerie episodes anyway, but this one in particular would also make sense as an Eerie episode.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, a little bit of a hint. And it also will be entertaining because at least 50% of it will be something that I almost definitely will be enraged by. So start casting your guesses now.
Oh man, I got so much off my chest during that episode. Honestly, like I just raged, and those guys were so good and so patient. They were just like, "No, we're enjoying seeing you be angry. Carry on."
if it goes as planned, it'll be 50% something that I am absolutely in love with, and 50% something that I absolutely hate. So it should be a nice balance.
Yeah, I like a balanced episode. I look forward to hearing it.
Won't just be negativity. Yeah.
No.
Okay. That it for you this week, Dave?
Yep. Nothing else that I can even try to squeeze into a horror adjacent reference. So I'm going to leave it there.
Okay, no worries. I've got a few things I'll run through really quickly. I did see the new Eli Roth movie, Ice Cream Man.
You did. I remember hearing and seeing some of the replies that you got about that on. Was it Thomas that replied to you?
It was
on Blue Sky. About
that might be the first time I've ever written anything on Blue Sky. Because I think that's the first time. Blue Sky is that I have put no effort or time into Blue Sky. I have like over 800 followers. I've done nothing on there. I think I've retweeted a couple or whatever you call it, like reposted a couple things like I've been tagged in. But yeah, so that was the first time anyone like directly said something to me to where I was like, oh, I can't just ignore it. Like I gotta reply. Like and also I wouldn't ignore Thomas anyway, but he was like, holy shit. I think it was more of
someone else saw Ice Cream
someone
Man.
watched this. I don't even think someone else. I don't think he watched it. I think it was just like, holy fuck, you're one of the people that have seen it. So yeah, dude. If anyone isn't familiar with this movie, I won't give context for Eli Roth. He's his own sort of thing to unpack depending on what you think of him. He's divisive, blah blah blah. You can look up his bullshit and who he is. I would say that I am at best a casual fan of some of the things he's done. I think that there's probably certain films he's made that get hated more than they deserve. But then also, depending on who you are, they probably get more praise than they deserve too, depending on what you're looking for out of a horror movie. But I do think that he's capable of making good stuff, and I think he has. I think he's a fan of horror. I think, I've always kind of gone into his movies with open eyes, also just kind of knowing I might not like this, but there's something potentially here. I think we did Thanksgiving on the show, at least, right? Didn't we do an episode over that?
We definitely talked about it. Yeah, I think it was. We did a full episode on it. Yeah, I think so.
I thought so. Yeah, I have fun with that movie. Like I can appreciate that for what it is, and yeah. So anyway, this one, to give a little bit more context, this one was already kind of, I want to say infamous, but people were kind of talking about it. So this is the first film under Eli Roth's, I forget what it's called, the horror section, I think. It's like a production company he's put together where he's releasing films. I would imagine he's producing other people's films. Maybe not after this. I don't know how well it did or didn't do, but critically and pop culture-wise, it's not done well. And this is the first under that banner label, whatever you want to call it. So there's no, I haven't done a ton of research into this, but just from what I've gleaned, there's no like traditional studio backing it or releasing it. So I would imagine he also gets more of the profit, but they're self-financing it, releasing it, all that kind of shit. I think they're also sort of trying to model what's worked for like Terrifier and some of these other horror movies that have released their films unrated and like self-distributed and found a way into theaters in this way. So yeah, my friend and I wanted to go see a horror movie, and that was the only one really playing. She was like, I don't know anything about this. I was like, look, everyone hates it, but like, I'll go see it if you want to see it. I have an unlimited program, whatever thing anyway. So it was essentially a free not free, but you know what I mean? For me. So yeah, went and watched it. The other thing I should say before I say what I thought about the movie is that prior to the film coming out, Eli Roth did an interview with Polygon.
Yes, he did.
And this was back in where the fuck? I don't know where the original thing was. The like update was on August 4th, but at the time, here's what Eli Roth said to Polygon, because there was somebody had noticed that there was a no. I'm getting ahead of myself. Polygon specifically asked about a cartoon, a little animation that's in the film. So the whole deal with the movie is there's this ice cream man that shows up and he's giving ice cream treats to kids. When the kids eat them, it like makes them into these like weird kind of mindless zombie killing machines, and they start killing all the adults. And it's like, it's definitely Terrifier sort of influenced, where it's gory over the top and it's supposed to be comedic, and it's all practical, mostly all practical effects, and real schlocky, kind of trauma adjacent, but it doesn't have the like grimy sort of, I don't even want to say charm, but trauma. I mean, if you like trauma movies, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Anyway, and so there's a sequence in it too. There's a little animation that these kids will see like on phone screens. And it's that like rubber tube kind of like Cuphead, Betty Boop. I mean, those are decades apart examples, but that style of animation of these kids walking, ice cream man treats, all that kind of shit. So Polygon asked him about it in an interview, and here's what Eli Roth said verbatim. Quote, "I have an animation background and I drew it. I worked with an animation team and I wanted it to look and feel like there's an old Mickey Mouse cartoon where he goes to a haunted house and there's brooms and dancing skeletons and this kind of flowing dancing stuff and the jittery style of the animation. So I drew the loop cycles and the styles. Then I had some animators help kind of make it a little more fluid, and I worked with an artist to give it an old-timey jittery feel. But I sat there and I drew out the frames that I wanted, and I tried to match the style of the 1920s haunted Mickey Mouse cartoons." So later, someone saw the movie in like a preview, noticed that there was a credit toward the end of the credits for an AI production house. So Polygon went back to Eli Roth and asked him about it again. And Eli Roth released a statement that said, quote, "I misspoke. AI was used in a very small portion of a few scenes in the film. It was an opportunity where technology and creativity came together to help bring my vision for the film to life." He didn't say beyond that what it was used for specifically or whatever else. So Eli Roth, in my opinion, and I try not to go on too much of a tangent here about AI. I make a living as an artist, so you can take your fucking guesses on where I fall on this shit. Everyone hated Eli Roth for this. I think absolutely deservedly so. Like, it is a wild fucking position to say that you misspoke. Like, I just read the full quote. So listeners, if you haven't heard, like, you can draw your conclusions there on if he misspoke or like, that is a crazy fucking thing to say. He was very detailed in what he said he did. So, that hurt the movie too, I think, for a lot of people that were just like, fuck this movie, whatever else. So, look, man, I'm not like, it's not even that I'm jumping on a bandwagon or like wanting to hate on him. Like, I'm not somebody who's hated on him just for the sake of it in the past. Like I said, I think he's capable of making good stuff. It's a very, very, very fucking bad movie. Like, one of the worst I've seen in one of the worst horror. I mean, I gave it half a star on Letterboxd, which I didn't. The only reason I gave it that is because I sometimes give things no stars because I don't want to give it a star rating. And I didn't want people to confuse it with that. I at first I put no stars, and then in the description wrote like 0 stars, not complimentary. Like, I don't want people to think I was, just be like, oh, I had fun with it. But who can rate a movie like this? I can. 0 fucking stars. It was really bad. There's so much shit in it I could rant about that's awful. There's a lot of creepy stuff. There's stuff that feels really racist. Like, not a lot of it, but enough. A couple main things where it was like, what the fuck? Like, why would he do this? There's some weird, like, underage girl, like Eli Roth's dad character makes some jokes about checking out underage girls at a water park. Like, there's weird moments where my friend and I were the only 2 people in the theater, so we were just kind of openly talking through the movie because it was so bad, and we weren't, disrupting anything for anyone else.
That's fair.
And just kind of throughout the entire movie, we're just like, what? Like, you would hear a lot of us being like the same sort of sentence over just of like exasperation and confusion because things wouldn't make sense. Anyway, the little animated part is in there. It looks like AI was used. I mean, it's a very specific style of animation. So would I have immediately clocked it as being AI? I don't know, honestly. That being said, and I'm not defending it at all. If they used AI, then fuck it. But toward the end of the movie, there's a part where this fucking necromancer, is such a stupid movie. He's giving this like big lore dump of a context backstory for the Ice Cream Man, and all of that shit. Instantly, I turned to my friend and was like, "This looks like AI," and she was like, "Oh yeah." And that whole sequence, I was like, "Holy fuck! I can't believe he did this."
Yeah.
It is just all the shitty, like stuff that it does fall into the realm of like my dad would probably be like, oh, it's probably CG. Like he wouldn't, and I'm not, talking shit about my dad, but I feel like there's a generational thing with like a lot of our parents or grandparents, they can't clock it right away. But I think for, most people, I'm calling us younger, we're in our mid or late 30s to early 40s, but like, I think it's usually you can tell there's different signs or just a vibe or a feeling of something that if it's AI, you can feel it right away. And I could instantly. And it didn't even feel like something where it was AI and then it started off as CG and then they finessed it with AI or vice versa. Like it was just looked like AI fucking slop bullshit, dude. Like it looked awful. So anyway, my no recommendation. I could not steer people clear away from this movie more. It was bad in every way. I mean, on like if I could like dig to find something to say in a similar way of like Hatchet or Terrifier, where like there are some kills that are clearly very, prosthetic heavy, and I like shit like that. So like there was a little part of me at times that could appreciate those, but you're talking about a collective combined 25 seconds in a 90-minute movie that I don't have something bad to say about. So
it's like a more extreme version, and this isn't me needlessly dunking on it. This is like a genuine comment here, but it's about Deathgasm. Like I need to get that disclaimer out there because I've renewed hostilities with them. I think that there are some really good things about that movie, but the overall of it ruins it for me and makes it into a bad movie. Like it has some merit, and it sounds like you're saying kind of the same, where that there are certain little things within it that are they do have merit, but overall the package is just so bad that you can't recommend it overall.
Yeah, but I think the thing, and I've only seen Deathgasm once or twice, and it was when my son, I don't even know if he was born yet.
I understand that I'm very negative on Deathgasm, where you and Andy both weren't, but
I will say I noticed on my shelf the other day that I have a copy of it, so I clearly liked it enough that I bought it at some point.
I mean, I have a copy as well. It doesn't mean
that's true. Well, I've culled my stuff so many times that if I kept it at this point, but I would say, based off of my memory of Deathgasm, there was a DIY indie film sort of spirit to it that I think movies like that, especially those, but also it can kind of, if they're rough around the edges, I don't want to say that I give it a pass. Sometimes it can be part of the charm or the aesthetic of it. Everything else, there's a weird thing happening here where, like, I'm sure Eli Roth would make the argument that this is an indie movie, and by some definitions, it definitely would be.
Is
like,
it too
if you're
polished
talking about
to feel like an indie? Is that the problem?
Well, that, and also he's made a bunch of movies. Like so for me, there's a thing where I'm like, dude, there's a level of quality I would expect. Like, even not as somebody who would be a defender of him or like a huge fan of him, he's made a ton of movies, and he's made movies that are much better than this in every way. That I look at something like this and it's like, no, it's not that it's a lack of budget. Like, you just whiffed this in every possible, but it also makes me suspect, I don't know, man. I don't want to go off on a whole Eli Roth thing. Like, I remember liking Cabin Fever for what it was. And that was an early movie that was indie, low budget. He doesn't have any connections, or I don't know if he didn't have any connections, but he's starting off. Like, there's not, Tarantino producing it like it was with Hostel or something like that, where, budgets are suddenly, not inflated, but, given more padding than he would have making, fucking STD in the Woods movie. So anyway, I think that there's a thing with this one where it's like, if this movie is this bad on every level, so like casting, directing, writing, like cinematography, effects, fucking AI, like all this stuff, then not only is this like a huge embarrassment on multiple levels, but it also shows me that, like, you just can't fucking tell a story. Like, you can't make a movie. It should not be hard to make something like this a success. I'm not saying I could successfully do it, but I am saying that a lot of people could. Like, this, he isn't making the fucking Odyssey. Like, I went and saw that this weekend too in the IMAX, the 70 millimeter. So I finally got to see it at, like, the whole way, whatever. We'll get off on that tangent. And, like, the level of commitment and detail to something like that is on an astronomical level. A fucking schlocky slasher movie is not that. And I say that as somebody who really likes schlocky slasher movies, every now and again. Like, it's not my favorite subgenre, but I can appreciate it. So if Eli Roth whiffs all of that stuff that make up something so easy like this, it is a situation where I'm like, man, I'm suspicious that you know how to make a good movie anymore if you fucked this up so badly in a way where this should have been an easy win. And maybe he thought it was going to be. I don't know. The AI thing bewilders me. Like, I don't understand for any filmmaker right now. When Aronofsky's gotten into it, fucking, who's the other guy that I just had in my mind? I mean, this guy's already a little bit more controversial, divisive, but fucking the guy who made District 9, I'm swearing a lot today. Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah.
He's gotten into it. Like, I just kind of scratch my head, and it's like, dude, I mean, even if you pull off something crazy with this that doesn't look like total shit, and you would be the first, because even these big budget ones that use AI, everybody sees it right away. Within seconds, there's tweets being like, check out, this motherfucker has 8 fingers and the word liberty spelled wrong in the background. People catch this stuff instantly. Even if you pull off what has not been done yet, like, everyone's against you on this. Like, from a creative standpoint, would you have like titans of creativity? And I know that sounds pretentious, but I'll stick with it. Like like Guillermo del Toro, talking so critically about it. And you see the new generation coming in, Kane Parsons, these guys that are also staunchly anti, at the very least, generative AI. Like, trying to jump in and be, I don't know, man. I don't get it. Like, to me, I look at it with Eli Roth and I'm like, I don't know what you think the upside is here. I mean, and especially when you lied so thoroughly about it and then tried to say you misspoke.
That's the big thing. Like, the fact that he didn't immediately say, oh yes, and we're using AI in this movie, means that at some level he is either concerned or ashamed about the fact that he's doing it.
Yes.
We've talked about this before, where it comes to things like doing HD upscales or restoration of film, and how in some instances the use of AI might just about be justifiable, especially if it's something like what I'm about to say. And I'm not defending Eli Roth; he can go suck a bag of dicks. But here's the thing, like the second part of what you were talking about, the entire kind of like information download where you immediately clocked it was AI. That is so obviously something that can only really be done with generative AI, which is trained on stolen work, that there is no way that can be possibly defended. There's the environmental side of things, which I think is you cannot ignore, especially in today's day and age where we have flooding in Indiana and drought in 70% of the UK. But what I will say is that I think that there is AI is a dirty word, and I completely understand, and I back the shaming of AI in 99% of cases. But I do think perhaps there is an argument that small-scale, locally based AI, where you have like AI on a computer, right? And let's say, for the sake of argument, I'm creating a massive straw man here that we're going to burn to the ground in a second. Don't you fucking worry. Let's say, for argument's sake and shits and giggles, that Eli Roth did actually draw the keyframes and make the designs for those characters in that animation. And then he fed it into an AI and he said, using this that I have given you, animate the interstitials between these frames. It's only using his work as an input. And it wouldn't have been, because every fucking AI is based out of a data center. But if you had a computer powerful enough that you could have an AI based on the computer, so the only resource it's using up is electricity, in the same way that any video editing software or anything like that would do the same, then it becomes slightly less problematic. But that's a huge straw man which doesn't stand up on its own two legs, because that technology at that scale does not fucking exist, to the best of my knowledge. It has to use a data center. It has to use an AI model which was trained on other people's work. Until
it would have to be a new thing.
You would have to train your own AI model to do that, and I don't think Eli Roth is capable of that.
No, he's not. And also, not even you. I don't even know that you'd have to train it to do that. But that thing you're talking about, based off my very rudimentary understanding of a lot of this shit, I think that's something that video cards are already doing, or is on the horizon.
DSSR, I think.
Like, it's not exactly that
in
thing.
video games.
Yeah, but it's.
No, it does do the same thing.
It's filling in those frames. Yeah,
it like doubles your frame rate.
But it's not creating them. It's not generating them from existing art. It's pulling on what's happening within the scene, everything else. So I think to that point, yeah, absolutely. I think that's you already hit it, though. Is like, it's also just a slippery slope right away, I think, for people. And like, as soon as they can see that they can cut corners, it's less work, or they can save money, then suddenly it's we can do it this way, we can do it that way, and then I think it just keeps slipping and slipping and slipping, and then suddenly you're just making. I mean, I don't know how it is for you, dude, like in the UK, but I see this shit everywhere now. So I've mentioned it here and there. I guess last time I brought this up, I had a girlfriend. I'm a single guy again. So the dating apps and stuff like that, those, the amount of bios that I see where I'm like, this is AI. Like, this person didn't, and maybe it's accurate information about them, but it's such a turn off for me. Not because Yeah, I mean, it's not a generative AI thing in that sense. It's not an artistic thing that is a turn off for me, but it's just it's exactly that. It's just like, I wrote my fucking bio. Like, I took the time to, like, I want, if right away I'm getting met with, I mean, the amount of fucking dystopian sci-fi we've seen in the past, like, I'm going back decades, where it's stuff like this, where like you're sending your avatar out to meet someone. It's like, that's what it feels like the first step of. It's like, my first impression of you is that you got an AI to write a bio for you. That unfortunately, you might be the coolest person, nicest, sweetest person in the world. Unfortunately, that tells me so much right away, or it doesn't tell me much, but it very much implies all of these things that you're just, So that, but then the other thing I was going to bring up is logos. The amount of logos I see now, like, for different businesses that are clearly small businesses that didn't want to hire an artist. And it's just like, well, there's a shitty AI logo.
Event
like posters. I can tell.
Event posters are everywhere, and they all look the fucking same, despite the fact that they're completely different.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think in certain situations, I made a joke yesterday too. I was hanging out with friends, and I told them, I was like, this might be, I have no idea if AI was used in this technology, but at some point in the past, and it's on Android and iPhones both, it was introduced within the software that like, so to give the example that I used, my sister sent me, my dad had bought my kid a Fortnite card, and there was a Spider-Man skin in the shop that was expiring by 7 o'clock that night. So he needed to get the credit into his thing, and I have access to his account, blah, blah, blah. So I'm an hour and a half away from where they're at. So she sends me a picture of the card. So normally I'd have to open up the picture on my app, go over to, my web browser, type it in, go back and look, type it in. At some point in the past, I don't know when it was, they've added it to where just a picture, you can tap and highlight text and copy
like the
and paste
personal
it or
assistant
whatever
kind
else.
of thing. Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's for iOS at least, it's just built in. So I could go back to this picture that Gabrielle, my sister, took and just tap and highlight the text, even though it's not written out text, it's an image.
Yeah, I think Google has something very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. So I don't, the joke I made to my friends yesterday was like, I don't know if AI was used for this, but this is something to me where I'm like, as long as it didn't have all these other negative aspects, like this is a thing that improves efficiency and quality of life for me in a way that does not feel like it's at the expense of other shit.
Yeah,
like
that's all.
Being able to tap and hold this as opposed like it's saving me seconds. It's not a huge deal, but like that's the kind of thing I look at with AI where it's like that. And then also obviously, as people always inevitably bring up, and I agree, stuff like medical imagery. Like I think there's situations where we absolutely should be embracing.
Yeah, I've made that exact
and I think it's a
argument on the show. Yeah,
great argument. Yeah. So but generative AI, dude, and shit like this, like
there's so many moral quandaries, and even. Sorry, go on.
It makes me feel. The last thing I would say. It makes me feel that Eli Roth is even more out of touch. Because if I was dabbling with something like this, and I was like, maybe I'll use AI just for this little short sequence. We can use some badass visuals, and then I saw what's in the movie, I would be like, I can't fucking put this in the movie. Like people are gonna crucify me for this. It looks like shit. Like it looks like AI. But Eli Roth was like, put it in the movie. That's the part for me where I'm like, you either can't see it and you're out of touch, or you're just fucking, your ego's out like, I don't know what it is, but the decisions that were made along the way, and then with the movie coming out and the comments he made, is just fucking crazy. I don't understand what kind of weird perfect storm he did to make everyone turn on him. But
I think the fact it's Eli Roth kind of helps with that as well, because he's always had that kind of dude bro appearance where you were just like, I bet
people
he's
are ready to
all
dunk on him.
For sure. And just to be very, very clear, just to absolutely nail my colours 100% to the mast, like fuck AI in all its forms. Like, I think that even if that straw man that I built out of cobbled together parts in any way was able to stand on its own 2 feet. The moment it falls,
I think it does.
Yeah, no, I know, but I think
the point that you made, I think, is valid for sure.
It's a valid point up to a point, but I'm about to set flame to my own straw man here. I've used that word far too many times already. Even if it was locally based and it wasn't burning through fresh water, and if it wasn't trained on other people's work, and it was the most ethical of AIs, it's still taking a job away from an animator. And that's the problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's the problem.
Yeah, all
it's
this
taking
stuff has
creative work at both ends.
Absolutely. I mean, it has ripple effects and depending. Yeah. Anyway.
But
so
like you say,
this movie
that
sucks.
Yep.
I mean, there's a million reasons to not watch it other than the bullshit AI that happens in it. But that also didn't help. So yeah,
no.
I'm curious to see what happens from here. I mean, in theory, like the idea that he has his horror production company where he could bring up new filmmakers. Like, there's a movie out right now about Anthony Bourdain called Tony that Matt Johnson made.
I saw the trailer for that, and I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, I want to see it too. It's gotten great reviews. He also did Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which everybody was super into. He did that series as well, if anybody's familiar with it. And then before that, he did the Blackberry movie that came out recently. Anyway, I'm saying all these guys' movies because back when I was in college, slightly after that, you might remember this too, Dave. Kevin Smith had this Canadian kid on because he made this movie about the kids that are making a movie in high school. It's like found footage called The Dirties.
Yeah.
And do you remember this?
I do.
So there's like there's sort of an implication or some tension, suspense when you watch the trailer that maybe they're planning a school shooting, or there's one of them might be a little bit off kilter, something like that. I watched the movie back then, really liked it, started following Matt Johnson's career. So flash forward to now, he's the dude who's writing and directing all these movies that I mentioned. So like I thought about that the other day. It's like Kevin Smith saw this kid in Canada and like pulled this movie out and highlighted it and kind of set him on the path. And now he's making movies for fucking A24. And I really like watching his interviews, and I think he's a passionate, talented, I'm close in age to him. So that was part of why The Dirties resonated with me. A lot of the references in that movie made me feel so much like how it felt for me in high school and college, like wanting to make movies and stuff like that. So anyway, all that to say, maybe Eli Roth shouldn't be making more movies under his label, but if he's going to be producing other people's movies and younger filmmakers, stuff like that, I'm all for that. So I don't want this thing necessarily to crash and burn as an idea or whatever, but man, he just really fucked up a lot of the decisions with this entry. So see what happens. I don't want to see anything about this movie ever again. I am just each day that passes and it erases it more from my memory is a blessing. I did go see The Odyssey, like I mentioned. Just want to throw that one out there again because there are some cool horror sequences in it, and it's just a great movie. And then the other thing I was going to mention, Dave, very quickly, earlier today, I had a little bit of extra time after I'd finished watching Underworld Blood Wars, and was like, you know what? I will play. I have all these horror video games on my PC, my Steam list that I have not played. A lot of which are like critically acclaimed, and some of them I've dabbled in here or there. I did that earlier when I had this thought. There was a game on there called Dusk that I've had for a long time. Yep. And I played through that. It was a lot of fun, but not like a ton to talk about horror wise. It's like a Doom, like a boomer shooter. So Doom, Quake, Hexen, like that kind of vibe. It was a lot of fun, but it wasn't like a horror experience, even though it's gory and there's guys with chainsaws. There's a horror aesthetic. But then I booted up a game that I don't believe you've played, but I think you've watched some Let's Plays of it, Dave, because you've brought it up before.
Okay.
And I played about an hour of it probably, and that is Mouthwashing.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That was a game that I saw some gameplay from when I was watching Man Horror Bad. Which was that documentary. Okay,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew that you had brought it up for some reason. I couldn't remember when or why, but that makes sense now. So did she like it?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Yeah. She basically
said discussion on her, but
no,
yeah.
I know. It still hurts. But no, it's Delaney Jordan is the name of the girl that made the documentary, and she actually cited it as a great example of horror in the documentary, as opposed to the movies that she really didn't like. It's been a while since I watched it, so I can't remember the exact grasp of the thesis, but she did like.
I was just curious which side it landed.
Yeah.
Okay. So far I love it. It's a absolutely horror. I mean, depending on who you are and how well you know video games and what kind of games you're into, and I guess how cynical you are about this term, walking simulator applies here. So I don't have a problem with that. I've played plenty of games that fall into that subgenre that I've absolutely loved. But it is a low, I don't say low effort in terms of gameplay. You don't have, it's not going to demand a lot of you.
It's narrative
you don't have
heavy.
To be a gamer.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like fast reflexes, whatever. So there's going to be like puzzles and objectives and stuff, but there's also a lot of talking to people and investigating, moving, looking around, that kind of thing. But it's also, as Dave said, narrative heavy, big on vibes, as the kids say. And is essentially the story. It's told in nonlinear format of this freighter spaceship that has been taking some sort of cargo. You don't know what it is. I actually just got to the part where you find out what it is, and their captain has seemingly and deliberately crashed the ship. And just completely fucked himself up, like maimed himself. He's all burnt and messed up, and they're having to feed him painkillers to keep his pain down, but he can't communicate or really speak. And you're jumping back and forth in time between those 2 points. So you play as the captain before the crash, and the conversations he's having with the crew members. You're getting to know them from the captain's perspective. You're also having hallucinations and starting to see real trippy shit. And it's very Lynchian, like really influenced by like cosmic horror kind of stuff. The design sense of it is pretty fantastic. I really love like just the aesthetic of it. The look of it's very much inspired by like PS1 era graphics. So it's got that kind of like polygonal kind of chunky looking thing. But a little bit more stylized, because I've played some of those games that have leaned into that PS1 style retro thing, like very faithfully, where it looks like you're playing Final Fantasy VII and everybody's just polygons. It's not quite that. There's a level of artistic detail that they've added in that kind of make it feel at times like a comic book, not a flat look and not like a cartoony look, but like a cool stylized like graphic novel, indie sort of thing. Definitely influenced by Alien, Event Horizon, that kind of shit. So yeah, so far I really like it. I won't go too much more into it, because I think part of the appeal of the game so far definitely seems like it's going to be that you're giving the other character that you play as is this like pilot engineer guy, that after the captain has crashed the ship and they're trying to figure out how to survive and what to do, you play as this other guy, and seeing it from his perspective. I can already tell that there's unreliable narrator shit probably happening with one, if not both of them. So I think that's going to be a big sort of thing of like, as you go through, you realize, oh, this dude isn't who I thought he was, blah, blah, blah. The horror works so far really well. I mean, it's the aesthetic of it, for me at least, makes it less scary in a way, but I felt like it's still very effective and creepy. And yeah, so I'll report back once I finish it. I've heard that it's relatively short. I don't think it's like a massive game. Usually these sorts of narrative games are between like 4 and 7 hours long or something. They're usually not too long.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So far, I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I
really like the look of it, and unfortunately, because of the nature of the documentary, like the video essay, I know an awful lot about the game's narrative, which means that I'm not going to be able to experience it in the same way that you're currently experiencing it. So yeah,
I'm definitely not suggesting people do this, but I would also say, as somebody who didn't have a PC for a really long time, if there's Let's Plays of it, I mean, I don't want to say it's exactly the same. Both of us are huge video game fans, so I'm not going to in any way undersell the impact of actually playing a video game as opposed to watching it. Let me triple check that it didn't get ported. Yeah, it didn't get ported. So if you are somebody who doesn't have a PC, I would imagine if you do have any sort of PC, it wouldn't take a lot to run it. Like, it's not a crazy heavy game, but watching a Let's Play of it, of someone go through, I think would, in a lot of ways for a game like this, convey enough.
I think so. Yeah, you can experience the story. I think you're always going to, even with a video game that is like a walking simulator, especially one that is hyper guide railed. I think you still have an extra level of immersion that comes from actually being in control of the character.
Absolutely.
When I watch videos of PT, it doesn't quite fuck me up the same way as it did that time I actually played it.
Right.
So like I would, if at all possible, then I think probably people would benefit from playing it. But from what you've said of your experience of it and the gameplay, I think watching a Let's Play would probably be a pretty good approximation. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a way to play it, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's not on Switch or PlayStation or any of the other stuff, so you'd have to have a PC, a Windows PC. It looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I make my way through the rest of it, I'll probably report back once I finish it. Actually.
Yeah. No, I'd love to hear what you thought of it when everything comes together and the story is finally whole.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I like it. And that is it for me this week, Dave. So we can get into our movie
shit
of the week. All right, Jesus Christ. Underworld Blood Wars, 2016 action horror film directed by Anna Forster from a screenplay by Corey Goodman, based on a story by Kyle Ward and Corey Goodman. It's the sequel to Underworld Awakening from 2012 and the final and fifth installment in the Underworld film series. The film stars Kate Beckinsale, Theo James of the Monkey fame, Laura Pulver, James Faulkner, and Charles Dance. The film was panned by critics, this is all from Wikipedia, and grossed $81.1 million worldwide against a production budget of $35 million, making it the lowest grossing film in the franchise. I would imagine, I don't know, if this movie made like an insane amount of money, I could see them making another one. But it also feels like when you're watching the movie that they're pretty much done. Like it feels like they've kind of run out of steam. They don't really want to keep doing this anymore. None of the original. I think this is the first one where no one in any way, shape, or form, it seems like, that's originally involved in the first, well, all the other ones, but especially the original guys. So like the other Danny McBride, Kevin Grievo, Len Wiseman. Those dudes that were always kind of involved in the story or the scripts or whatever, none of their names are on this one. This was the only Underworld film I had not seen. So I started off this franchise as somebody who was bringing it to the table as a guy who loved the first two back in the day when they were coming out. And I'm leaving the franchise as someone who kind of likes the first one and hates the rest or at least isn't able to enjoy them the way he was before. So I had not seen this one at all. This is the first one in the franchise that we're talking about where I believe for both of us, this was a first time completely fresh watch. Unless you've seen it, Dave, but that'd be crazy if you'd seen the fifth one and not the others.
Yeah, I've not seen this movie before, although the movie poster pretty much filled me in on almost everything that would happen in the film immediately.
It's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, the we don't even do the fucking plot. What did you think of this movie overall, Dave? Let's start there.
Do you know what?
We've talked about all of these movies. Like, I definitely think more than any other time listeners should understand and know that there's a context here. This is not normally how we talk about movies on the show, but we've got a cadence with Underworld now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of the same in as much as like good dumb fun with gunplay and vampires and weird hybridization theory going on. Massive rip-off of Blade with the whole, she who walks in the sun, and not that that's what he's called at all, but you know what I mean. It's
and also I have so many little dumb grieving. I have so many like moments with this movie, and all of them, but mostly definitely this one this week, where I'm just like, I start to get frustrated about something because it's dumb or it doesn't make sense, and then my anger is just completely snuffed out instantly because I'm also within
you
the
remind
same
yourself it's an Underworld
breath,
movie.
I'm just like, who fucking cares? I keep having that loop. So I was gonna say, like, the walking in sunlight thing, absolutely, like you said, like it's a rip off Blade. Also, like, a big part of this movie, she's had this fucking power since the end of the second one. Yep. So, granted, the third one is a prequel, and she's not in that. She's in voiceover. But the fourth one, she's got it. They just don't really do anything with it. Like,
I think that's the annoyance for me. Yeah.
These movies just kind of reset whatever the world is after the second one. It's just kind of whatever they wanted to do that day, the movie.
She's got such a massive advantage over her fellow vampires with that one simple thing. This one simple trick that all vampires hate, or being able to walk in the sunlight. And then, like, they just drop casually the fact that David can also walk in the sun now, which actually I didn't mind as a kind of a reveal because it made sense at the time, like her bringing him back in the previous movie, using her blood, mixing with his, and that becomes a whole thing.
It sure does.
I love Lara Pulver. I think she's a great actress. I've seen her in one or two things here or there.
I liked her in this.
She's great. Like I wouldn't call it a scenery chewing display, but she absolutely dominates the screen.
But not in a bad way.
No,
I would say in a complimentary way. Like I think I like her in this, and I think she's good in this because she knows what the movie is. I think Charles Dance is kind of in that too. Bill Nighy was in that too. Those dudes are good actors, and I would imagine on set they were like, "This is fucking bullshit," but they're able to pull it off because there's enough of the commitment. Bill Nighy especially, that dude was fucking snarling through every scene.
Oh, he's so good. I miss him.
But she definitely, Pulver definitely like. Yeah, she fits right in from the first scene into this dumbass world. Yeah,
for sure. And then my massive surprise seeing King Arthur himself on screen. I don't know if you were familiar with the series Merlin.
Arthur
Bradley James as Varga, who turns out to not be a complete arsehat, which I was very happy about.
I was happy about that too. So yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of shit that I'm gonna dunk on, but I also would say there's a surprising amount of stuff in this that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like that there were things within the lore that they did that I didn't hate, within the world building that I didn't hate. There were brief little moments in a lot of the action scenes where I was like, this is definitely more inventive than they've been for like 3 fucking movies. Like there's I looked a little bit into Anna Forster. She's a German-American director, I believe. German-born American film and television cinematographer and director. She is best known for pioneering the use of the Arri Alexa camera system. I think it's pronounced Arri, A-R-R-I, Alexa camera system. And if you look that up, you'll see the massive impact it had on film, like the film industry. Everything is everything big budget is shot with it. Roger Deakins was talking about how like this is now like digital looks better than traditional film now because of the advancements with the system, blah blah blah. So I don't think that is applied in this movie because there's other things at play like CG and whatever, lighting, whatever. But I do think that there's a technical expertise that Anna Forster must have and was bringing to this. Because even like at the beginning where she's coming in on the motorcycle, there were a couple of shots from behind with her like head where I was like, oh, it's weird when there's a little dynamic moment like that in one of these fucking goth ass Twilight movies, because you are just like, oh, it's a movie for a second, and then it's back to people being like, where's Victor? And you're just like, oh, okay, I'm back into this bullshit.
So there were, to counteract your point, because I do agree with you, there were times when like the directing in this movie was really good. There were also moments where they would do slow-mo shots and it felt like the most high-budget TV movie that I've seen in a while. Like when they pull the
CG
covers,
is bad.
Yeah, but it's not just CG. It's like they pull the cover off of that giant gun that fired these massive UV rounds that pierced the windows, and I'm not sure why they needed UV rounds to pierce the windows. It's like the way that they pull it back, and it's like they filmed it at 30 frames a second and then thought, no, we need a longer runtime, just cut it in half.
There's another weird moment in that scene because when they cut back to David, he goes, fuck. He says fuck in slow motion in a way that's pretty funny. I don't know that it was supposed to be.
Well, because the voice acting is full speed, but you're seeing him saying it in slow motion, so it doesn't quite work. Like, if he'd actually been like, fuck, that would have, like, I would have laughed, but it would have worked.
It's very
more.
odd.
It's strange.
Yeah. But I mean, absolutely. There's plenty of stuff in this, even in the moments where there were things that I liked that they did. So like the lore stuff, or specifically plot things. So like that the Arthur kid having this like sort of right away, you're like, okay, I've seen this dynamic a million times before. He has a sexual dynamic with his boss essentially, and she's really mean to him, and he's gonna get killed. Blah, and then he has that about face kind of moment where it's unexpected in a movie like this, especially with so many tropes. But then there are other moments where you're just like, this is the dumbest bullshit ever. Why did anybody think to do this? And a big one for me is the inconsistency with Celine with her powers. Like, she at this point she should be unstoppable, and at times in the movie she is. But then there's other times where the plot doesn't need her, it would be inconvenient for her to be so powerful. Yeah. She just isn't. And they don't really, like the whole part where she fights the dude in the cage. There were multiple parts in there where I was like, why are we even watching? Like, we have seen, if you've seen any of the other movies and seen her stuff that she's done, even before she got the powers from the elder dude at the end of the second one and could stand in the sunlight and all that shit. This dude she's been alive for so much longer than so many of them. Like, there's just all this shit in the movie where, and it's those moments where I'm like, but why? And then 2 seconds later, I'm like, who fucking cares? Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Welcome to the Matrix paradox. Where everything after the first movie doesn't really make sense, but it looks cool, so people go with it.
I'll defend the Matrix a little bit. There's more thought put in there, and it's a couple of architects for all three. But yes, I know what you're saying. I think anything with power levels, especially, is a tough, like, unless you're doing something like Invincible where it's long form and then you have to keep escalating the entire world, or Dragon Ball Z or whatever else. But I mean, even Dragon Ball Z gets shit because it gets so out of hand. Like, I understand the inherent challenges in that. I think it's why so many productions or video games depower the person at a certain point or reset them so that they don't have to deal with it anymore. But in this case, it's like, it's frustrating because it's not dealt with when it's inconvenient, but then other times it's a massive part of the plot because she is important to the vampires, and her blood does contain these things that affect other people, and her daughter in her bloodline is a plot point for the Lycans, and like all of this stuff is important when they need it to be. But then she's just kind of any other person when she needs to be in a fight scene.
Yeah.
So
do you know, ironically, who dealt with this really well? It's the Resident Evil franchise, where when they realized that Alice was too powerful, they just found a way to depower her. Like, it made sense.
I mean, that's usually what people do, and especially like you see it in Metroidvania games all the time. If there's a sequel,
I've lost my
finish
equipment.
with Samus and you're kitted out. Yeah,
I can't roll it into a ball anymore. What am I to do?
Right. So I mean, the stuff I did like, I liked the Nordic shit. Like, I thought it was cool that there was. It's not like the best thing ever, and it's not the most inventive, but it was cool seeing a thing that wasn't a fucking hot topic that they're all hanging out at, basically, which is what all the other movies are.
Also,
like,
though,
just
like
goth staircase central.
I like the fact that they brought a little bit more kind of vampiric lore into it, where it was like, look, these ones can turn to smoke, just like Dracula could.
They do different shit. They also, like the one girl that's talking to Celine in that one scene I liked, where they're like fucking wrapping them up in webs or whatever. She was saying how like there are other worlds. We've known that forever. Like, there's shit about this vampire clan because they're this coven. They're separated from the rest. They don't give a fuck about their drama or whatever else. They still know them. They have Nordic Michael Chiklis there, who, he conveniently knew everybody. So once David shows up, he's like, "Oh, don't worry, your mother left me a gift for you." So there's that kind of, suspension of disbelief is needed kind of shit. But I liked that stuff. It is kind of stupid that when Celine shows back up, she has their powers, and the best way you could tell that things are different is because she has a white coat on and frosted tips.
Yeah. I was like, why? But why does it start at the tips? Surely it should start at the root. What's going on?
It's ridiculous.
It's so weird. I did like her in that white coat, though. Like, we've been watching her for like really 4 movies wearing just black latex, and to finally get something a little bit different.
That coat, I thought about it. You and I both fucking popped for, I think it was Awakening. Or maybe it was Evolution. She has a coat.
When she had like the tweed. It's like
World
a pea coat.
Yeah, it's over the latex.
Absolutely.
That was a good look.
Yeah, give me texture. I want texture. I don't need depth in my characters, but I need fucking texture.
Absolutely. I like Theo James in this. I like his character. I think, like, I don't know that the move should have been replace the female lead in this franchise with a guy. Like, it was one of the like female led franchises, but it did seem like they could do a spinoff thing or something had it been more successful. Like, he was being set up in a cool way, I thought, in the prior movie and definitely in this movie, because they just fucking, I still to this day don't know what happened with Speedman, but man, what a thing that dude walked away from and like left them to just kind of trample all over for 3 movies in a row. Well, I mean, if you skip the prequel, but in this one, just even worse than Michael Biehn and Newt coming from Aliens to Alien 3, where it's like they get another guy to play him when he's unceremoniously dragged out of a tank and killed, like in a flashback. But then later on in the same flashback, it's Scott Speedman playing. So there's two guys playing the same character in the same flashback, essentially. Very strange. They do the same thing with the daughter, where it's like they just kind of hand wave it away. Oh, I don't remember because I was told I can't remember, and then she's at the end played by a different girl.
I literally had to look that up to figure out what was going on. Like, I thought I knew what it was, and it turned out I was right. But it was, honestly, for everything that we've said about Anna Forster's direction, I felt like that bit was a little bit too muddled to the point where I didn't even recognize one of them as being Kate Beckinsale. Like, it was just 2 women who were wearing hoods and were covered in shadow and in the middle of a snowstorm, and I'm like, who the fuck are either of these people? And I kind of put 2 and 2 together and made like 4.1, which, but I still didn't get
It's confusing, dude.
It's just,
it
man,
seems like some shit that was in a different draft or like an earlier cut. That
probably,
they
and
cut
also
stuff out and left. Yeah.
I completely agree with you on the whole Michael thing. Like the fact that not only do they kill him off screen, but like. I like the fact that that Marius was basically powering up by shooting up Michael, or drinking Michael or whatever the fuck. That made sense to me because this entire series has been about how you can gain power from other people's blood or memories from other people's blood, which is
hybrids.
And that's a mechanic. Well, the really memories thing is back,
but I think that's only elders that can do that. I'm assuming
well, she's always
midway
been
through the movie. She's
not an elder.
Oh shit! Could she?
I think it's just a vampire thing. I think if you drink someone else's blood, you just are able to see their memories. I don't know, but Beckinsale I think has always been able to do it.
Okay, I can't remember now.
Well, I mean, she bites herself. And
it seemed
kind of weirdly re-experiences her own memories when she could just think about it.
Yeah, she could just do it the old-fashioned way. Have a memory. It is a pretty stupid thing, dude. So I genuinely can't remember now because this movie makes such a big deal out of that whole drinking each other's blood to get their memories thing.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay, it makes sense because Celine can do it. Theo James can do it. He has her blood.
The turncoat can do it as well. The redhead that was banging away with Marius, she can do it.
Okay, and she shouldn't be able to because she's not.
She's not an
so
elder.
Yeah, I guess it is anybody.
I think it's just a vampiric
It is weird
trait.
how this movie makes it into a big thing. But again, that's just kind of like how the rest of the movie is with all the other shit that they kind of
they can play fast and
deal
loose
with or
it.
don't deal with.
Yeah,
and the last movie kind of reset everything with this like police state sort of hunting down the vampires. Like, I don't even know where the fuck we're at the beginning of the like until we get to the Nordic stuff. Like, that's another thing that kind of felt like they were like, let's just get out of cities. Let's go to some remote place where the vampires and lichens can fight each other and we don't have to worry about people on subways and shit because we have fucked the real world up within this universe so badly that I have no clue what the outside world thinks of vampires or like if we follow the continuity of this movie, they very quickly, within the span of a few years, found out about vampires and werewolves, and then we're having to try to kill all of them. And then this one is how many years later? Like 2 to 4 or something? I
don't know if it ever really specifies, but yeah, I would guess something like that.
There's no mention of anything. So anyway, is the world just kind of accepted like there's not vampires or werewolves around anymore, I guess? Like you don't really, you get the sense that the lichens numbers are down to just these guys potentially.
Maybe.
But they talk about how like they're a small group, but they also did that in the last movie too. They were a small group. So it's I don't fucking know. The whole thing too is go ahead.
I remember last time that we talked about Underworld, and I was disappointed that I'd kind of found out that India Isley was then written out of the next one after putting in a really good performance as Eve,
the daughter,
the daughter. I was somewhat satisfied by the way that they wrote her out of this one and the reasons for doing so. I was still disappointed that after putting in a really good performance in the last movie, she didn't really get to do anything for this one, but at least it made sense from a plot point of view. So I will be very annoyed at Michael's treatment, and I will be reasonably okay with Eve's from this point forward.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate that either. The execution of the ending is clunky as fuck, but
it really is,
the way of just getting her out of the picture, that's fine, whatever. I mean, it is one of those things that like is such a go-to move in a franchise. Is like, I mean, The Mummy did it. Like, I'm sure we could find more. This is the first one off the top of my head. Let's introduce a kid. We've got the main character and the love interest together. Now let's make them a family unit.
Yeah.
But then very quickly in a series like this, it's like, well, what kind of stories are we going to be telling? This might not make sense anymore. And then you have Celine straight up saying in this one, like pointing out the fact that like She wasn't trying to have a kid. She didn't want to have a kid. And she didn't even know she had one until she woke up and later on. So like
Celine, maybe
and then she accepted her.
Yeah, maybe you should bag it before you shag it. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't want a kid, then don't fuck around.
But it's just like, it is this weird thing where they like just, it feels very screenwritery to where it's just like, we give her a kid. And then in this movie, it's like, well, the kid thing's going to get in the way of this.
So let's send her to boarding school.
Icelandic vampire thing. So so she's out of it. But I liked Theo James, the whole stuff with his mom being Amelia as somebody who loved these first two movies in high school and like loved the lore. I thought that was cool. Amelia right away, I was like, she's in the first movie. Well, she's in the first two, but she gets killed. There's a sequence in the very first one on a train where it's a bunch of Lycans ambush the vampires. And there's a pretty graphic, like gruesome shot of a vampire or of a Lycan biting her neck. And there's like a ton of blood, like pool, like water falling down. And then they find her body later. Whoever the actress that played her is also incredibly attractive. She's so pretty. But so Amelia's in those movies. She's not a huge character, but she is one of the elders. So like having that link back in a way that's not, again, a perfect example of something where I'm like, oh, that's a cool way of doing that with the lore. I like that. And then later on in the movie, it's like, and then Michael gets killed off screen in a flashback. You're like, okay, this is the exact way to not do shit like this.
Yeah.
But having him, and then be because of Charles Dance and be the heir and all that shit. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Like having the sword, it's all pulpy, tropey shit. But when it gets to the end of the movie and it's him, Celine, and I don't even know that I caught her name. Fucking Bjork that was spiderwebbing people.
Yeah, it was.
That might
hang
sound
on
racist.
a second. Lena.
I just mean Icelandic. Having them be like the new elders. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking cool too. Like I like that idea lore wise, but we're 5 movies in. The lore's so convoluted at this point. It's the end of the franchise. It's it's weird. There were definitely moments in this where I was like, this is better than the last 3 movies and how they handled this particular thing.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the movie, again, it's just like, yeah, this is just Twilight with more violence and goth shit, action goth shit, which, there's part of me that can handle, and I wasn't. It's less than 90. It's 90 minutes with credits, so it's like an hour 25. So
I'll take it as 90
they did
minutes.
Well, there.
Yeah, good movie.
There's a lot of blood
because I've changed it to 91 now.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood. There's a sequence where Theo James cuts a lichen in half vertically, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I mean, the CG was a little bit.
CG looks like shit.
The red was a little bit bright for my liking, but I'm not going to pick.
It does look good,
scabs here.
but it happens.
It's what's happening. Yeah. Amelia was played by Zita Gurug or Gorog, depending on how she's listed. But she's got the umlauts over both O's in this version, so I'm going to try and pronounce it as Gurug. She's I think, Hungarian actress and model. Yeah, so that would explain why she's a very pretty lady. Also,
she dies in the first one and then is in the sequel because there's a prologue at the beginning. Yeah, where Bill Nye, they're like in a village and she's part of that crew.
Yeah, she actually retired before this movie was made, so they used archival footage of her. Otherwise, I guess they could have had to come back to film additional scenes.
I don't know why the archival footage thing was a boon to them in this movie. They use it constantly.
They've used it so many times in the movies, not just this one.
But this one in particular, they used it for Michael. They used it for her. They used it for the daughter. They used it for fucking Charles Dance and
I guess
Victor at the beginning.
Don't have to pay quite as much if you use archival footage as
What I don't get though, dude, like use archival footage. That's fine. Yeah. Michael, like, why not just get a guy who has the same similar body and longer hair and stab him where you can't see his face? I mean, like that was such a weird move to me.
He was hanging upside down in a blink and you miss it vision, which was almost like an epileptic fit on steroids.
No, you say more than that. They cut him down and he's looking into the camera and before he stabs him. You get a full on look of his face because you're like, that's not Scott Speedman. You can tell right away it's a different guy.
I guess I couldn't remember what Scott Speedman looked like, to be honest with you. It's been a while since he's been in one of these movies.
I mean, he dropped him. I don't understand why. Dude, I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about this movie.
There was something, but I'm just trying to remember. Oh, yes. The scene at the end when it's like a coronation, right, of the new elders. So David gets a
Drinking blood.
place. And yeah, that's the thing that I was wondering about. When they first brought the blood out and were sharing it around, I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it have been a really smart idea in a world
To
where
give everyone Celine's blood?
yes, exactly.
I thought about that
Exactly.
too.
Like she's basically been bloodletting for like a week, and now everybody's gonna be able to walk in the sun because we live in
That's
a
another.
world. Go on.
I was just gonna say that's another moment where I had one of those. I was pissed off and then I calmed myself down. They made such a big deal about that blood, having to bloodlet her, and then having to let the poison get out of the blood, and it taking so long.
Yeah.
And then when she drinks it, she fucking pours it all over her goddamn face.
That
So much of it
annoyed
is
me.
hitting the ground. Where I was like, "What are you doing?
Well, 'cause
you
she
guys
never-
just made such a big deal about this."
She didn't need that much blood, and she never intended for anyone
No.
else to get any. And it's just like, but then you get that really cool effect where, like, all of the red it goes through the veins and stuff, and then the reveal that it worked and she can now walk in the sunlight, only to be stabbed through the
that was
back of
another
the
stupid
back of the
thing.
head.
Yeah.
That was so good. I was so good.
I mean,
loved
it was funny, but it was also stupid in the sense that it was just like it felt like we need to wrap the fight up. Like the fight with the lichen in the cage was the same way. It was like, okay, now that this thing happened, rip his spine out. Like there was fight, but it's okay. It's
but
looked
I
cool.
get it.
Both
Like,
of the deaths were gory and
thematically it made perfect sense because she's a schemer and her plan has finally won out. She's got what she wanted. And in that moment where she's distracted by the fact that she's able to stand in sunlight for the first time, probably in hundreds of years, David takes advantage and sticks her in the back of the head.
There's also, they telegraph that, not telegraph, but they're like really setting that up. There's a moment earlier in the movie where the sunlight glints off of a car and like hits her face in a way where it's like she's slapped across. It was very strange where I was like, even there's no way it would hurt a vampire that bad. Like, anyway, it doesn't matter. But there was a lot of that throughout this movie where I was like, they have never really gotten a handle on how vampires actually work in this, or like their sensitivities and everything else. Even another one thing that's always kind of driven me crazy from the beginning is the fact that they can drink each other's blood. Whenever that happens, I always start to spiral a little bit thinking about it where I'm like, but what couldn't they do? Like, why would they have to feed on anyone else? Like, there's a thing right away where I'm like, that's usually such a like hard mythology stopgap thing for vampiric shit is that you can't drink your own like other blood, or it has to be fresh, like it has to be untainted or whatever.
There's been some great films that have dealt with that idea. I can't remember, was it Daystalkers or something like that it was called? Where there were vampires that were feeding on each other and they kind of ended up mutating and going feral.
Right. What the fuck is the name of that
Daywalkers,
movie?
maybe.
Daywalkers? We just talked about it because Sam Neill was in it.
Samara Weaving was in it, wasn't she?
Is she?
No, it was either her
sure
or another Australian actress from a soap
It might be
opera.
Daybreakers.
Daybreakers, yeah, that might be it, yeah.
Daybreakers.
And who was it that I was thinking of that was in it? It was...
that
Isabel
will fuck it
Lucas.
up for them.
Yeah.
And then also if they don't get blood, they start to turn into those bat things or whatever too.
Yeah. But also,
I
the cool thing about it was that it was a society where vampires were the norm. Like, everybody was a fucking vampire.
Yeah,
at that
they'd
point.
taken over.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I feel like if I was a vampire and I was alive for that many hundreds of years, I probably would like get a job running a blood bank or something, or maybe like vampires would eventually organize to the point where they're like, do you know what would be really easy if we got humans to voluntarily give their blood? So why don't we just start the biggest scam in the world, which is making people believe that blood transfusions are necessary, and then they basically take over the world without biting a single fucking neck. Like, I don't know. I like the idea of just being a bit more nefarious about it. In a world before True Blood, where they made synthetic blood. I mean, I like the conceit of True Blood as well. Like the whole Sookie Stackhouse Mysteries thing, where vampires are a known entity and society has come to terms with it and found a solution, which is, here you go, synthetic blood.
Yep.
it works, but this I feel like they missed a trick by not just being like, now everybody can walk in the daylight, because we live in a world where the police state hunts us down by taking us and throwing us into daylight, and that's the only way that they can prove that we're vampires. I'm probably misremembering exactly how they diagnosed vampires. Wasn't there like a genetic test or something they were doing? I can't remember a lot about that movie. I think it says all
I don't remember
needs
either.
to be said about
I need to rewatch
how it impacted me.
Yeah, dude. Having that not, I don't know. It's obviously not a big deal. It's I don't know. You just can't really fucking tell if it's a problem in this world that it doesn't seem like they need blood. I mean, they need it, but also it doesn't seem like it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's another one of those things that's just kind of floating depending on, whatever the needs of the screenwriter are in that moment. But I agree. It's something that can be done in such cool ways that, I mean, I think about like a movie we liked on the podcast a lot, Only Lovers Left Alive. And like that at times is like that's a, part of a subplot is like he has a deal with this doctor and he
another
gets
movie
blood
that
bags.
solved the problem. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But then that movie did so much cool shit with like practical sort of thinking with a lot of those, existing tropes and ideas, like the way that she has to like fly across the world and has to time it in certain ways because she can't be in the daylight. They go into that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's obviously the complete opposite of this kind of movie, but I don't know why. Every time one of these movies happens where they're just like, oh, you need blood, here, drink some of mine. I'm like, it's so weird to have a vampire movie where like they just take the stakes out of that part. I guess it's kind of similar to Twilight in that, like, don't they sparkle? Like, they don't burn up in sunlight.
They do,
right?
yeah.
In Twilight?
Yeah, they sparkle because apparently it helps them entice their victims.
Okay, so I mean, I guess it's similar to that they just kind of hand wave away because it's just never a problem. I don't know. It's not a big deal, but it is a weird thing in these movies that they just kind of take out. It's never a deal.
Yeah. Also,
I don't know if I have anything else to say.
I've got one more thing, and then I promise we can wrap up on this. I like Theo James. I like David as a character. I don't like them forcing him into a romantic lead role. Like, but they never do anything with it. It's like they put him in position.
With him and Celine?
They put him in position to be the romantic lead, and they never pull a trigger on it, man.
I mean, it makes sense that because I felt like they were building toward that too, and it would make sense because Michael's gonna get they kill him off and whatever else. But there's also a part where Theo James straight up says like, "Your family, like you're my family now," or whatever. In a way where I was like, "Oh, they're not doing like they're building like a I don't know, a sibling thing necessarily, but a found family thing between." Because that's a whole deal too. Like it is a significant thing lore-wise that Charles Dance endorses her in this because he's so against her in the prior film. So to their credit, that is something that they kind of kept, and it's a big betrayal that because they think that what's her name's on their side too, and whatever else. So all that I think works and is cool, but it does then undercut the idea that they would have. It's a different kind of relationship that it seems like they're setting up, and then at the end of the movie. Yeah, there's no like even like a shared look or a hand on another hand kind of thing where it's like, oh, maybe this is the start of something. It feels pretty platonic.
Like I would have liked it if they made it. Yeah, no, absolutely, and like I would prefer that it remain platonic, honestly, because I feel like you don't need to force a romantic coupling into every movie.
And then you're just back at the first movie.
Like a couple of ways to get around it is like you said, like. You can make it more explicit the fact that they have like a sibling like relationship, and then also you've got a character right there, but called Lena, who you could literally just have some spark happen between her and David just to make it obvious that his romantic intentions are leading elsewhere.
Oh,
I don't mean to
the Nordic girl.
Yeah, I don't mean to be that guy who says, well, we have to have a romantic relationship in this movie, and the devastatingly hot and smoky male definitely has to have a love interest who's definitely like interested in him. And that's not what I'm saying. It's just I would prefer above all else for it to be very clear that David and Celine are just kind of like besties kind of thing. I feel like having her jump from one doomed relationship to the beginning of another one, or even giving the intention, and I could be reading it completely wrong. Maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. I think I'm very guilty of that a lot of the time. But it almost feels like these movies want to legitimize her as the lead by giving her some kind of romantic interest. And it isn't needed. It's really not.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I may have completely misread it. But it felt like they were setting it up for him to be her next beau, which I
think so too. I mean, it's another one of those things that feels like a cut of the movie that was there that they,
yeah, possibly.
I don't know. I've seen enough movies of that where you can sense that or you find that out. Wasn't it Demolition Man? I think that there's like a whole. I'm trying to remember this correctly. There's a couple things about. I think it might be two things, or maybe I'm conflating them. But with Sylvester Stallone's character and Sandra Bullock's character, that they were supposed to be. I'm trying to remember what it is. I want to say that it was originally set up that she was his daughter, because there's things in the movie.
I've heard that. Yeah.
There's like definitely things in the movie where it's like the timeline comments that are made where you're like, what? This feels like but then they don't set that. And then I think they do set it up as a romantic thing. But I think it was another one of those deals. I haven't seen it in forever, and I don't know that I need to revisit it anytime soon. But even though I loved it growing up, but yeah, that kind of shit happens where it's like, oh, in an earlier cut, this was this, and blah blah blah. Last thing I will say, I did like seeing. I don't remember her name, and I closed the tab already, and I can't be fucked to open it back up. But the little assassin vampire girl who is like fucking around with the werewolf man.
Alexia is a character's name. She's played by Daisy Head. An unfortunate name, if ever I heard one.
As soon as I saw her, I was like, I have seen this girl before, and I cannot remember what in. And I don't know if you ended up watching it or not, Dave, but she is in the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
I've not watched it. Yeah, I own it. I literally, I spoke with Stephen and Brent the other day, and this movie got mentioned.
You talked with us, I think, off air last week about getting ready you were going to be watching it soon or something. That's why I thought maybe you had just watched it.
Yeah, no, I just keep talking about it because we talked about Masters of the Universe and how disappointed I was with the fact that it had moved to streaming so quickly and was probably not going to get sequels and all that kind of stuff. And then we mentioned Dungeons and Dragons having the same kind of issue, and I just pointed out that, I bought that. I have it to watch. I just haven't got around to watching it yet. So I'm going to watch that probably when we're done recording, and I'm going to see her, and I'm going to be like that meme from Once Upon a Time. Yeah, I'm going to be Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen like, wait, that's Daisy Head.
She has such a unique face. Like she's very pretty. Like her eyes are very unique. She plays a red wizard and that's hanging out with Hugh Grant's character. And right away when you see her, you're like, she's not. Okay. She's clearly evil. You can tell right away.
Yeah, you can tell. She reminded me a lot of, and I've forgotten the actress's name, but she played Daenerys in Game of Thrones.
I
wish I could remember her name.
Sarah Connor.
I've had her name in my head literally since I watched the movie, and now that it's time to bust that out and say it, cannot remember her name at all.
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke. There's an Emilia in this movie. How could I not remember that through association? I had to kind of double take when she first appears on screen because I was like, I think it's the eyes, especially. Like she's got those slightly larger than average eyes, and again, maybe that's just me seeing things I want to see. But it just immediately reminded, and obviously the English accent, I kind of double took immediately because I was like, how many people get to use an English accent in a movie these days? Not as a bad guy. She is a bad guy. That makes perfect sense. Of course, the English person is a bad guy. I did not. Yeah, I just looked this up to be sure. She's Anthony Head's daughter.
Oh, no shit. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
who just died not too long ago.
Passed away and also was a formative part of my childhood playing Giles in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, another piece of vampire fiction. So, oh, man.
That's crazy.
Cool.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that she was in acting. I knew he had a couple of daughters, but I wasn't aware that either of them had followed him into the craft. So
I hope she's in more stuff. I mean, it also seems like she's following... Oh, no shit. Also
Sorry,
seems like
yeah.
she's following in her dad's footsteps between an Underworld movie and a Dungeons and Dragons movie, and
Yeah, there
I
you
think she's
go.
been in other stuff too. But
Yeah,
so
she's absolutely kind of just zeroed in on that kind of geeky crossover subset of movie subjects like vampires and Dungeons and Dragons and Christ knows what else. Oh, she did Shadow and Bone as well. Interesting.
oh yeah,
Now I need to watch
I
this
didn't
as
watch
well.
it, but
Hmm.
do you have any final thoughts on maybe not this movie, but just overall on Underworld as a franchise? As I mentioned at the top of the segment, this was a humbling experience for me to take something that was a beloved franchise for me as a teen, and realize that I maybe should have left it there untouched in my memory so that it wouldn't be tainted. I had an Underworld Evolution poster in my room growing up. Yeah, I mean, I'll always have a soft spot for this dumbass franchise in this world and everything else. Rewatching them now, the first one is really the only one that I think I would have any kind of I would defend in any way, and even then it would be from kind of a scrappy. They didn't have a lot of money, and I think they were forced to be more creative in a lot of ways. And subsequently, I think a lot of the stuff, as we discussed back then, even though it's very derivative of the Matrix, looked the best out of a lot of the stuff in the franchise and the sets and the effects and everything else. And then we have little moments throughout the rest of the franchise, but yeah, I mean, I if I had to have guessed beforehand which franchise I would end up liking more of between this and Resident Evil, it would have been this, and it's probably Resident Evil. From what again, another franchise that I don't remember a lot of because they're very disposable, shitty movies, I'll say. I think it probably had more highs along the way. I wasn't trying to make this into a head-to-head with Resident Evil, but it's a similar thing that we've done, so it came to mind. But what about you, Dave? How'd this one hit you and all that?
I mean, I think that's totally fair. Like, if I was going to rate one against the other, I would probably come out on the side of Resident Evil as well. I'm with you in that I think the first movie is probably the better of them all, and it would be a movie that I would go back and rewatch at some point. I think it's got that advantage of it being, even though we did mention on that episode, and it's something that comes up every now and then, that it's kind of accused of being derivative of the Matrix to an extent. It is still a movie that is made from whole cloth, rather than the sequels where they're kind of taking what's come before, iterating on it, maybe changing a few things, losing a few bits of lore or a few bits of the series Bible, contradicting themselves a little bit maybe in places and confusing everybody along the way. So like that first movie is like a legitimately really fun kind of, it's not cyberpunk, but if I was
there's definitely a set design, like there's an earnestness to it, I think, that
it's got this gothic grind
gives it
going
an
on.
edge.
Yeah,
it feels sincere in a way. Like they get campy, and like we were saying, what's her name in this movie like knows what kind of movie she's in, and by the point in the franchise, it's like fully embraced that. But that first one does have a little, I mean, we've got Michael Sheen in the mix too, like, and Bill Nighy. There's a little bit more, it feels like, legitimacy to it compared to where the series goes.
I mean, I would say that the cast throughout the movies is really good. Like, you've got some great actors.
They definitely get
their
some
heads up across across all 5 films. But yeah, I think it's a dumb, fun action series that you can put on and just enjoy. I didn't have the level of what's the word I'm looking for here? Nostalgia for Underworld that you do. Or did.
Did.
Certainly now afterwards, yeah. But I found myself enjoying them for what they were. I think after watching the first one and kind of getting partway through the second one, you could see the trajectory, you could see what kind of series it was going to be. And if you go into like the third, fourth, or fifth movie expecting it to be better than it is, you're probably fooling yourself to a large extent. And, everyone loves to be an optimist, except for all the pessimists out there. So, I mean, if you enjoy the first couple of movies, you're going to enjoy the rest of it, right? Like, and there's
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like the term guilty pleasure is one that there's been a bit of pushback for over the last few years that I've started hearing creep in, where people are like, I'm not going to call it a guilty pleasure because I don't feel guilty about taking pleasure from it. And it's like,
sure.
Yeah, but you can still use the term. Like, I think that this is almost the exact example that I would go to if I was talking about a guilty pleasure. Because it's not a film series that I'm going to say is top quality. But at the same time, it's got a lot of actors and a lot of performances that I enjoy. It's got a lot of decent action in it. It's got some shitty CGI, but it's also got some relatively good CGI. And
I think it was it might have been for Underworld Awakening, to your point about the guilty pleasure thing. I read a review from Letterboxd I had saw somebody say, and I'm paraphrasing it, but it was something about dragging. They were like, it's like going to a movie theater, dragging up an empty popcorn bucket across the floor.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
With, like, a shockingly full thing of popcorn. Like, it's floor popcorn, but it's free and it's clean enough. Like, what are you gonna do? It's like, that's pretty accurate.
I still love that. Every time you mention it or I think about it, I listened to you. I think actually the tagline for our first Underworld episode, or Awakening, it may have been, where you actually uttered this for the first time and let me in on this wonderful review. I scrubbed through the episode when I was editing so that I could have the exact wording so I could use it as the tagline for that episode. So anyone that's listening, you can search for our episodes and find it, and it will be there in the tagline.
It's just such a good way to describe it, because
it really is.
The one that people usually go to for something like that is that it's like pizza. Like, even bad pizza is still pizza. Like, but that doesn't work for these movies because it's worse than that.
Yeah.
Like, there's the thing of dragging an empty popcorn bucket on the ground is the part where it's like, that part is important. You need to know that this is still popcorn dragged from the ground. It is not good, but it doesn't look bad. Like, it's clean enough and it's free. So here's your popcorn. Like, that's what it is. You can tell, yeah.
It's covered in shit, but Absolutely. It's still popcorn, motherfucker. Sure. Yeah. And like, this film series is shit, but it's still a film series, motherfucker. No, I don't have any problem with it. It's just a dumb fun series, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. And I think especially in the first two, but especially the first one, there's definitely action choreography that will always stick in my head that I really liked and I liked the look of, that was formative to me at that time. Again, watching it in my mid to late 30s, I'm able to clock right away like, oh, this is very derivative of The Matrix. But back then I would have been on still in the beginnings of what would be a decades long high of loving The Matrix. I think I still would probably say The Matrix, I think, is the best action movie ever made. Like, it's for me the best. Now you could get into a million conversations about what that would be defined as, but it's a phenomenal movie and had such a massive impact in so many ways, in sci-fi and action and in special effects, cinematography, but then also the aesthetics of all of that. And that was a big one for Underworld, like the blocking of the shots and the way the guns look and the slow-mo and the fucking costumes and all that. When you watch the first Underworld movie, you're just like, man, they weren't even fucking trying to hide this. It just looks like they threw some more vampires or werewolves into The Matrix and then took away 4/5 of their budget, and then here's the movie. So but yeah, it's there's something comic booky about the first one too. I mean, some of those guys came from comic books. They included comic books in some of the releases of the DVDs. Like, there's a spirit there that I can snap into for sure. I think in the same way that you can, that feels fun in that way. But I think after the first one, you can keep watching. Just know it's never going to get better than the first one.
I mean, it really does. Weird. It really does.
I mean, that's true, but I guess I should find a better way. It's all downhill. I mean, it doesn't really, there's little moments here and there throughout the movies that you might remember or laugh at, but hey,
you know what they say about all downhill? You don't have to pedal.
That's true.
So, it's an easy ride. You just sit back
those popcorn buckets.
Fill up those popcorn buckets and just let gravity take hold. Just hope that you've got brakes for the end of it.
I don't think they'll make any more of these movies. It seems pretty dead. Kate Beckinsale at one point said Yeah, I mean, at one point she said, I'm not doing any more of that. I've done enough of that character. And then 3 years later, she's like, I will do another one, which I think says a lot about, where her career probably was at that point.
She's doing straight to Amazon action movies at this point. So, yeah, I guess.
I think that they'd have to reboot it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that at some point. It definitely seems like one of those franchises that is, I mean, they've done it with Tomb Raider. They've done it with Resident Evil twice since the Jovovich ones.
I hate to put ideas in people's heads, and I know that we're sick of this term, but I could smell a legacy sequel a mile off for this.
Dude, I would be all over this.
Yeah.
They kind of do it in this one. Have Celine be training new death dealers, but definitely make her the elder, make her be Amelia. Don't have her fight. She doesn't need to fucking fight anymore.
Eve can be the new lead for the entire series. Yeah.
That's another weird thing about these movies too, is like, I'm absolutely not somebody that's going to like comment on Kate Beckinsale aging, women aging in general. Everybody ages.
God, no.
That's a part of it. And Hollywood's like, and society's expectations, blah, 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 blah. It is weird in these movies because they're supposed to be immortal. So there's a thing with like in this one where I could tell like Kate Beckinsale definitely looks older than she did in the first one, which is, again, like not a problem, but it is a strange thing in a movie where she's supposed to be over 1,000 years old. Yeah. And Amelia was an elder and so was even older than Celine and looked the same age. So it is I think an inherent kind of thing that they've got to deal with anyway. I guess the implication with like fucking Charles Dance and Bill Nighy was either that they're really, really old or they got turned old. I don't know. But sure. That's another thing with a long-running franchise that you're going to run into trouble with is that whole thing, because makeup and de-aging is only going to. I mean, I don't know that this franchise would be able to de-age anything. I don't know they have the money for it, but
well, Disney Disney are due to buy something soon, so I guess it's whoever owns the rights to this film series.
I started to say they also don't really have the money for good CG either, but that's never stopped them. So maybe they would just do shitty de-aging. But yeah, I totally agree. I think that this is already not only set up for something like that, but do it this way. I mean, who gives a fuck? This is not I think you can do legacy sequels and they be legitimately pretty great. I think at least the first Creed movie, I liked the second one. I haven't watched the third, but the first Creed movie I think is legitimately pretty fantastic and is a legacy sequel and feels like its own thing, but also part of a bigger story. And so it's fucking Underworld. Who gives a shit? Like, make a legacy sequel. No one's gonna give a fuck. That is not a clean start. Like,
you absolutely should watch Creed 3. By the way, like, I
want to see it. I know the anime stuff. Like, I'm well aware of like, for that reason. I thought about it the other day and was like, fuck, I kind of want to rewatch the first two because it's been a while since I've only seen the second one once. I don't think I would absolutely need to watch them for the third, but
no, I mean I would say like pardon me, bloody hell, Creed is without a doubt the strongest of that run of movies. This isn't one of those series where we have a Godfather 2 pop its head up and be like, hey, I'm taking the crown now, bitch.
Right.
But
Terminator.
I will say that Creed 3 is probably very close to being as good as Creed. And in some areas, I think it's better.
Cool.
Like, the dude just understands how to put together a fight sequence where it's got such a different flavor. And this isn't even just me as a massive Hajime no Ippo fanboy going off on it, but the fact that, like, in the middle of a fight, he can make it feel so different from anything that came in any of the Rocky movies or any of the previous Creed movies. It's the first time in live action I've ever seen a boxing match shown in such a way where it's about more than just two guys sweating in the middle of a ring, punching each other and gutting it out. Like, it suddenly becomes more of a psychological test, and you see the internal struggle of a boxer who's not just fighting his opponent, but fighting against his own inclinations and his own self. Not to try and turn this into Dave tries to be a hoi polloi, high-flying critic or anything. It's just, it's such an original film for the way it depicts boxing. compared to anything that I've seen in live action before. It really merits watching just for how differently he's approached this movie compared to the previous ones. Honestly, fucking brilliant.
That's awesome.
But the first Creed is still the better
movie,
movie, but only just.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ryan Coogler made that one, so it's
I mean,
it's
gonna be a struggle
bar
to beat Coogler, but honestly, he comes so close. But again, massive anime nerd, so of course I'm going to say that.
Yeah, no, that in particular gave me the edge to see it because I was interested enough. I like the Rocky movies. I like sports movies. So there's part of me that's there, but those are also usually diminishing returns too, franchises like that typically. And so by the time we're getting to the third one, and I like the second one, but not as much as the first. And so I figured the third one would continue that trend. I knew Jordan was directing it, which no shade against him, but it's his debut. So it makes sense for him to be doing this one, but also like my expectations are maybe a little bit lowered. And then when I heard all of that stuff about the anime influence and everything else, I was like, oh shit. And I knew he was a huge anime fan and that all, gave it an extra sort of different edge that made me interested in it.
I think the real shame
I'll watch it sometime soon.
The real shame is the fact that it's got that Jonathan Majors stank on it, which is really unfortunate. True. But honestly, from a completely neutral point of view, what I will say is that
I can separate it.
Yeah, Majors does give a really good performance in the movie, and that's not.
He always did. He was a great actor. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate that what happened.
Next week, I believe I'm safe to announce this. We talked about it on WhatsApp, and Andy pitched it, and we both said yes. So I think it's okay to say it.
Yeah,
we are talking about The End of Oak Street, the new film from David Cameron Mitchell Stewart, whatever his fucking name is, the guy who made It Follows and Under the Silver Lake or whatever. His new film, which is like 80s family gets teleported to dinosaur neighborhood.
That's what the trailers say. Yeah, that's what the trailers say. I think
Andy's watched it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, McGregor and Anne Hathaway and a very bizarre movie for this particular director to be making. As far as the trajectory of his career and what I know about him, when he signed up for and like wrote and directed this, I was like, man, what a weird left turn. And he's now making the It Follows sequel, and so I'm very curious to see it. I've heard that it gives Jurassic Park a run for its money, not in terms of like an overall film, because I think that would be fucking an insane thing to say, but the dinosaur shit, which surprised me. Because in the trailers, the dinosaur stuff looks almost not whimsical, but just kind of like, oh, like fun, danger, families has to be careful. But from what I've heard, it's like a survival thriller movie. Like there's people getting fucking killed by dinosaurs and shit. So I'm excited to see that. I'm not expecting a full blown horror movie, but it's definitely in that genre area. So that just came out this past weekend in the U.S. and I believe in Germany, and I'm guessing the UK. Since you're going to be able to see it?
Yeah, it came out on the 14th, apparently. So I'm looking at showtimes right now because I've got fuck all to do tomorrow. So I think I might take a trip to the cinema.
So we'll be watching and then discussing that. Andy will be back. So yeah, check that out in the theater this week if you want to hear that discussion. If you have any thoughts on the overall Underworld franchise, feel free to send them in, eerieinternational@gmail.com. In the meantime, stay safe out there, keep watching horror movies, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.